joining us on the broadcast is Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for joining us on News X. What do you make of these actions by the European Parliament, and do you think India has given a befitting reply?
See, most certainly it is definitely an internal matter. There's no doubt about that. But having said that, it is the very fact that if we've given a befitting reply, okay, fine, accepted. But the very fact at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, it is a bit embarrassing for us that there's violence going on in our country. Our people are dying, and for over 2 months, 2.5 months, if I would say, if I can call it that way. So it is, we should have actually been self-sufficient to resolve that crisis. We haven't been able to resolve it. Let's accept it, let's admit it, let's do a self-introspection. It is an administrative failure, or be it of the state government, but of our part as Indians. And it's little embarrassing when foreign nations talk about it and bring it up in their parliament, because it's our internal issue. So such a situation should not have come to that extent. Now, regarding whether we gave a befitting reply, yes, we did give a good reply. We gave a very decent reply given the circumstances. But it pains me no end to see my brethren from Northeast, from Manipur especially, in fact, from both the communities, from the Meitei community and the Kuki tribe, fighting and and dying, and because an eye for an eye will make the whole nation go blind. And what I greatly fear is it should not spill out of Manipur and should not lead to other states. It is very, very dangerous. It is a very, very matter of grave concern, and I think we should do our best. That should be our first priority as a nation. Otherwise, what will happen is दूसरे मजे लेंगे हमारे situation का, and that situation should not arise at all. So when people, a few days earlier, the American ambassador to India, he had offered help. Well, he does not know about Manipur, fine, but the very fact that people are concerned that what's happening, their culture is very, very different than us. It has to be from someone who understands Manipur very well, who understands the tribal culture, who understands the Northeast culture, who understands the Meitei community culture, who understands the ethnic culture, who knows the geography, topography, demography, the history of the land, who has served. It has to be a neutral party. And it's really, really painful. We haven't been able to curtail it till today. And because we haven't been able to curtail it, there are people casting aspersions. And people are casting aspersion on who? On people who have the maximum faith in. They always had the maximum faith in the Indian Army, on the Assam Rifles. Now it pains me no end. They are doing a very good job. Let me tell you, the Assam Rifles and the Indian Army are doing a fabulous job. They are doing human service. They are a total neutral party. Now, foreigners are discussing what is happening in our country, in our land, at our home. It is indeed very, very painful. Yes, we will defend it, and we will give a befitting reply, no doubt about that. But more than the befitting reply, we should try to resolve the situation, because so that such a situation does not arise. For example, I'll quickly conclude by saying, if a Christian person from the Christian community in Delhi, I'll give a random name, anonymous name, say Mr. Thomas Matthew. I don't know who Mr. Thomas Matthew is. Supposing he relates to a Kuki church. Now in Kuki church, for example, there are sacrifices which are offered, there are fruits and vegetables they're offering, there are dances that happen, things which do not happen in a regular church in Delhi, in regular Christian church. Now every tribe has a different church. Like I'll draw a parallel to in Nagaland. For example, there are different tribes. There's Ao, Wangami, Chang, Chakisang, Sema, Lotha, Konyak. They're different tribes, and each tribe has their own different church. For example, the Ao would have their own church. Similarly, the Kuki tribe would have a church with they're Christians, but it would be very different to a Christian in US or in Delhi, or a Meitei Christian or a Naga Christian for that matter. It will be that different. So one has to really understand the culture, because superficially it's very easy for someone to sit there in France, and where France is themselves going through a troubled time, by the way. There's a lot of protests happening in France. When the 17-year-old boy was shot by the police in France, and they were racial discrimination. The UN, in fact, sent them a notice that, please, an advisory, as I would say, that please make sure that there are no communal cases, there are no racial cases in your force, in your police force in France. That happened. Now people were, because of the culture in France, it's very, very racial over there. It's been quite some time. So they should look at their own internal problems. Like we are looking at our own internal problems, but they are taking interest in ours. So we will feel bad. We should feel even more bad that why we have not been able to resolve it. Because simple thing, because Manipur, if you have to understand Manipur, it is not as simple as any other state. They are different tribes and they are sub-tribes. They are different dialects. They are different cultures. There is a different ethnicity, and it is not new to Manipur. In fact, I was there, present on the soil of Manipur in 1997, when the Thadao-speaking Kukis, they had clashed with the Kuki-Zomi tribe. And when this clash had happened from North Manipur, they were driven into Churachandpur. And then the Mizos had to step in 1998 to sign a peace accord. And then peace was brought in. So now Nagas and the Kukis, both are Christians. In fact, they used to be bitter enemies, sworn enemies. They used to burn and torch each other's villages, houses, hundreds of them. Later on, they buried their hatchets, they became friends, and they started coexisting together. So now there was an in-house fight within the Kuki tribe itself, but it was sorted out. It was an in-house fight. So now when there is a big difference between the Maites, like they are Baites, they are Paites, and they are Pangals, those are the Manipuri Muslims, and they are, in 1972, Alimuddin was the chief minister. Alimuddin was a Bengal, because they migrated from there. Bengal, from there. So then they are different, like for example, in Kukis itself, they are from Mizo. Some people have the affinity towards Mizo. For example, the Paites have an affinity towards Mizoram. So it has to be resolved by somebody who understands, who's totally neutral, who is neither Kuki, who is neither Maite, but who understand. And they have been former chief secretaries, former director general of police, former general officer commanding from the army. They have been former chairman, ceasefire monitoring group. They have been former officials, senior ranking, who understand Manipur at the back of their hand. They should be the ones to have to come forward and douse the fire straight away. That should be a priority. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll keep seeing foreign ambassadors, and this is a start, mind you, this is a start. If you do not douse the fire now, unfortunately, it pains me no end to see foreigners talking about what's happening in our house internally. And how many befitting replies can we keep giving? We gave a befitting reply, no doubt, this time. And then this will again, American ambassador spoke about it some time back. Now the French parliament is discussing it with 6 parties. Now then there are going to be more. So किसके मुंह बंद करेंगे कहां तक तो हमको ये violence ही बंद करना पड़ेगा. We have to douse the fire. And how that will happen? We have to sit together, get the leaders of both the communities together in Delhi, not in Manipur, in Delhi, and sit down across the table, and there has to be a peace negotiation committee. The peace negotiation committee earlier was formed of 51 members, out of which 25 are Maites, 10 were Nagas, 11 were Kukis. So, I mean, this kind of a combination may not work, and it was rejected from both the sides, in fact. I would call the term Mayank. A Mayank is really required right now to step into the fore and to say, okay, let me take charge of the situation, let me take the full onus and responsibility, let me see how, and there's no problem in this world which cannot be solved. We have to have the will to solve it. If we have that will, I mean, I do not want any other foreigner to come ahead and talk about what's happening in our land, just because it will show our incompetency, unfortunately. The very fact is that, I mean, whether we like it or not, the very fact a person outside India is sitting and discussing, people in India do not know Manipur very well. You talk about going to Imphal, they say, oh, you're going to Assam. You're going to Aizawl in Mizoram. They say, oh, you're going to Assam. So the beauty of Northeast is, how many people know about the Garo and Khasi tribes of Meghalaya, in Shillong? How many people know about Sikkim, in fact? Forget about going further on towards Northeast. How many people know about Gangtok, about 13 Mile, or about the different tribal culture? How many people know about the Chakmas of Mizoram? How many people know about the Apatami tribe of Arunachal Pradesh? So the tribal culture is something which we have to sit together and we have to understand. And by having bookish or Google knowledge or superficial knowledge of a foreigner sitting somewhere else in France or in the US, it's not enough. Let me tell you, because being Indians do not know about Northeast. What will those people sitting in so far away in land have a different, even I'm talking about the people from the same faith, from Christianity. I told you how different it is, how a Kuki church, the faith would be, and how a Christian in US would be. It's very, very different. So that understanding has to be followed and it has to be brought in. The peace has to prevail, because an eye for an eye will make the nation go blind. And Leo Tolstoy, in this novel, in The War and Peace, he has mentioned very clearly, being peaceful is better than being right. I mean, there's no question about cookies are asking for a separate administration, cookie land, and removal of the chief minister and for president's rule to come in. The Maite, the Mira Pabais are the Maite mothers of Manipur. I have dealt with them personally. I've had a very first-hand experience with them, and they've been very, very sweet to me. They were very, very cooperative because I spoke to them in their language. And language is a very big barrier which can be broken. It builds up bridges. Let me tell you, the ethnic culture, the language, the food that you eat, the culture if you follow, you can win their hearts and minds. And I was in a place, Pia, where the guns were blazing big time. My gun blazed too, but instead of firing bullets from my gun, I decided to fire love, peace, humanity, compassion from my gun. And that helped me win hearts and minds. And I went to Manipur in service as an officer, as a young captain in 2005. And 2004, the allegedly Manorma Devi rape case had just taken place that time. And the army and the Assam Rifles had their reputation, their image had taken a beating. But let me tell you now, because I got immersed in the ethnic culture, the people from Manipur would tell me that when we see the Indian Army today, when we see the Assam Rifles, we feel that the army is here to protect us, not to intimidate us. Earlier, we had a different impression about Manipur. Now, after meeting officers like you and many of us, so we got my platoon did a very, very good job. My company did a very good job. I was awarded with a commendation card in the Northeast by the army commander. And because we understood Manipur, no other reason. I know one officer who got a Kirti Chakra, he got a Shaurya Chakra, he got a Sena Medal, he got commendation cards in Manipur itself. My own postmate has got an Ashok Chakra in Manipur. In fact, Major General Cyrus Pitawala has got an Ashok Chakra in Manipur. So the very fact is because you understand Manipur. Now, for a foreigner to understand Manipur, I think it will be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. As I told you, for an Indian who is not from Manipur, for a Naga to understand the culture of Manipur itself is different. Where they are neighboring states, and people often mistake that, oh, if he's from Nagaland, he would be knowing about Manipur. But now when a foreigner speaks, it really hurts us. कुछ हमारे घर में हो रहा है और अगर बाहर से कोई लोग बोल रहे हैं, we will feel bad about it. We will feel bad. And I think it's about time that the people should mend their own affairs. But we have to look after our people. It's about time because Northeast is one area which has been, it's my favorite subject of discussion. Why? Because I have had the best of memories from the Northeast. I started my education as a 3-year-old boy. My class nursery started from Northeast, in fact. So we have neglected Northeast for a very, very long time. Be it the Demarmans from Tripura, be it anyone. I mean, we have to focus on them, make them feel that they are one of our own. And they definitely are. We have to, we have to give the human touch. We have to feel for them. We have to actually love them. We have to feel that, nahi yaar, aap bhi hum jaise ho. And unfortunately, it pains me no end. In Delhi, I have seen it personally on a personal account. I have seen people calling out some names which I would not like to talk at all on those names. But the very fact is, I have come, I had to intervene. And I had nothing to do with it. I say that, listen guys, this is not the way. You cannot pass such a slang on such a person just because the person belongs from there. And they are our own people. So I always keep saying, I Nanganumshi Manipur. I love Manipur. And the very fact that when an outsider speaks about what's happening in India, it definitely is hurtful. And I think it's about time they should mind their own business. And we should actually concentrate in dousing the fire, Priya.
Indeed, peace and reconciliation is the need of the hour.